In this section, we will discuss the federal system. The federal system, in short, is a system of government that divides the powers between the national government and the state and local governments. The Constitution of the United States established the federal system, also known as federalism. Under federalism, each level of government has sovereignty in some areas and shares powers in other areas. For example, both the federal and state governments have the power to tax, but only the federal government can declare war. The national government has three types of powers, and they are expressed, implied, and inherent powers. Under these three powers, the national government can regulate foreign and interstate commerce, coin money, provide an army and navy, declare war, establish federal courts below the Supreme Court, conduct foreign relations, and exercise powers implied from the express powers. The state government, on the other hand, only has reserved powers, and with those powers, they can regulate interstate commerce, establish local government systems, administer elections, and protect the public's health, welfare, and morals. The picture above is the Constitution of the United States, and it's the backbone of our government, which keeps the laws preserved and enforced. Without it, there would be nothing to state how our government should be chosen and how it should work.
There are also two other forms of government that play a part in our history, and that is a unitary system and a confederate system. A unitary system is in which there is only one level of government that has constitutionally amendment powers. For instance, a nation with a unitary system of government might have a national government which grants powers to its states, but it has the ability to take away these powers as it wishes. The states have no inherent power granted by the Constitution. A confederate system is a form of government in which states retain ultimate authority except for those that are expressly diligent to the central government. One example would be the Civil War between the North and the South. The South broke away from the nation and formed a confederacy that was all about the states' rights because they felt like their rights were threatened. It was obvious to say that their only right that they felt was threatened was the right to own slaves. Nevertheless, it only lasted for a short period of time. This illustration depicts the struggles between the North and the South during the Civil War. Part of the reason why the Civil War started was due to concerns over federalism. Southerners felt like they had the right to make important decisions, therefore they seek from the Union to protect their rights.
For my part, I would dissertate who developed federalism and what they did. The federal system began with George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and other nationalistic leaders who wanted to remedy the defects of the Constitution of 1787. To accomplish that, they held a constitutional meeting in Philadelphia, which of course was the place where the Constitution of the United States was produced. At the convention, they realized that the United States needed a stronger central government to address the many and growing crises aggravating the infant United States, which they identified as faltering domestic security, uncertain economic conditions and investment climate, fragmented markets and hampered internal commerce, poor and declining international credibility, failure to provide for the common defense against native or European threats, lack of protection for property and coin lent out or otherwise risked, interstate feuding over land claims, contributions, etc. The picture aloft is the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union, commonly known as the Articles of Confederation, was the first governing document of the United States of America. It went into effect on March 1st, 1787, and soon afterward. The people realized that there were problems with the document. On March 4, 1789, the Articles were replaced by the United States Constitution.
Next, I will discuss the conflict and resolution they had to develop federalism. One of the most prevalent issues during the improvement of federalism was those who opposed the Federalists, also known as anti-federalists. It included Samuel Adams and Thomas Jefferson. When the Articles of Confederation failed due to the lack of power in federal government over the states, the Constitution was drafted. To avoid another downfall, the Federalists wrote a document which gave the federal government a great deal of power over the state. The anti-federalists opposed this and ultimately led to the addition of the Bill of Rights to the Constitution, which today exists as the the first 10th Amendment to ensure individual rights which protect you and I to some extent from the government. The individual in this picture is Samuel Adams, an American statesman, political philosopher, and one of the founding fathers of the United States. He was labeled as anti-federalist by proponents of the new Constitution. Massachusetts ratifying convention on January 1788. Adams rarely spoke, but rather carefully listened to the arguments instead of joining the other anti-federalists.
For this next part, I would like to highlight the most important key terms that are in the section, which are delegated powers, express powers, implied powers, inherent powers, and reserved powers, concurrent powers, and the elastic clause, the supremacy clause, and the enabling act. Number 1, delegated powers are powers Constitution grants on delegated to the next government or national government. Number 2, express powers are powers directly stated into the Constitution. Number 3, implied powers are powers that the government requires to carry out the express constitutional powers. Number 5, reserved powers are powers that belong strictly to the states. Number 6, concurrent powers are powers that are both the national government and state have. Number 7, the elastic clause is the matter of Article number 1, Section 8 of the Constitution that gives Congress the right to make all laws. Number 8, the supremacy clause is a statement in Article 5 of the Constitution establishing the Constitution law passed by the Congress, and treaties of the U.S. shall be the supreme law of the land. Number 9, the Enabling Act is the first step in the state admission procedure which enables the people of the territory to prepare the Constitution. The diagram shows that the national government and the state government differ. However, they both have the same powers which balance out the same amount of power each government should have. These powers that they both have share are called concurrent powers.